Good day everybody, my name is Awesomecrunch and welcome back to Subnautica Below Zero. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long, but I've now just finished my exam, so I have an entire summer to keep on top of Subnautica, and also feature some other great games on the channel. Because I've been gone for so long, I think today would be a good time to take a step back and look at how far Below Zero has come, but also how far it has yet to go. We all know that the creatures of Subnautica are one of the main reasons for people's love of the game, and so I thought for this video, we would have a look at the creatures that have been discussed or mentioned but are not yet in the game for whatever reason, and have a little talk about whether or not we can expect them to appear at any point in the future. After about 6 months in development so far, I think it's fair to say that Below Zero now has the majority of its creature content implemented, with only a very few scheduled for implementation in the future. However, there are plenty of creatures that we aren't entirely sure about the position of, and so I thought it'd be worth including them in today's video. Just a quick disclaimer though, while it is unlikely, there's always the possibility that new and unannounced creatures will be added at some point, so just keep that in mind throughout the video. If you do go on to enjoy the video, consider subscribing and leaving a like, as it helps the channel out a huge amount and we are insanely close to 50,000 subscribers. Also, you should probably join my Discord, link in the description, because I do giveaways there at least once a month, quite often more than once a week. First off is the Discus fish. We don't know a huge amount about this creature. It does have its own databank entry graphic, but there's currently no information given about the creature in the PDA. The only real bit of information that we have on the Discus fish comes from Alex Rees's original concept of the creature. In the art, Alex labelled various parts of the discus with extra bits of information. This includes a monocular eye, a gill inlet, cerci, and the most interesting part, symbiotic algae. The Below Zero wiki, which I'll leave a link to in the description, suggests that this feature was inspired by the golden jellyfish of Jellyfish Lake on Alemalk Island, which obtains parts of its nutrition from algae which live in its tissues. This is a really awesome concept for such a simple creature. According to the Below Zero Favreau page, the Discus is scheduled for implementation in July this year, so we should be seeing it in the game very shortly. The next creature is extremely odd, and essentially nothing is known about it outside of its name and concept. It's currently known as the Hivemind, and the developers have classified it as a fauna, but it's not like any creature we've seen in Subnautica before. It has its own PDA entry art, but there is yet to be any explanation as to what the Hivemind is or does, so I'm looking forward to see if we get any information on it in the near future. To me, it looks like it might be some sort of parasite, but because we have no idea about the scale of the creature, there's really no way to tell. I'd love to know what you think it is, so let me know in the comments below and I'll have a read of them. Next up is the sea monkey baby. The adult sea monkey is already present in the game, but their juvenile form is yet to be implemented. I think these might take the top spot for the most adorable thing in any Subnautica game ever. The sea monkey eggs can currently be found in the Arctic kelp caves, but so far the babies have not been implemented themselves to spawn naturally. The PDA entry for the sea monkey babies described them as undeveloped and defenseless. It also highlights that they have bad eyesight, no control over their forelimbs, they swim slowly, and they are 90% fat, which makes them even more adorable. I'm hoping that we'll see these guys spawning in by themselves or actually hatching from the eggs that are dotted around very soon. I want to squish one, in a friendly way. The next creature is the trivalve. It gets its name from its 3 eyes, which are vertically arranged on the head, with 2 smaller ones for depth perception and a larger, more complex eye in the centre. This creature will seemingly be Below Zero's version of the cuddlefish. It's passive and very playful. The player can already do interactions with it such as tickling, feeding, playing peekaboo and waving. There are currently 2 variations of the trivalve, an orange and a blue one. It's not exactly known when the trivalve will be fully implemented into the game, but I don't think it will be too long from now since they've pretty much got everything finished for it already. This next creature is probably the most famous of all of the upcoming lifeforms in Below Zero. This is the Shadow Leviathan, and it is the next and potentially last alive Leviathans class species that will be implemented into the game. At around 60 meters in length, the Shadow Leviathan super predator will be truly terrifying to behold once it spawns naturally. At the moment, it can be spawned into the game using console commands, showing that a large portion of the work on the creature has already been completed, so it is likely only a matter of time before we see this beast thrown into the ocean. There's currently no PDA entry for the Shadow Leviathan, so our knowledge of it is very limited to just what we can see. It appears to have evolved from a land-based ancestor, which is a terrifying thought, due to the appendages on the front of the Leviathan continuing down the body as they get smaller. I'm not looking forward to this, at all. These next few creatures have absolutely nothing known about them outside of their concept art or model, so information is very limited. All we know is that at the moment these haven't been scrapped like the Ice Dragon was, so there is the possibility that these will be implemented at some point, though this is not certain. First up is the king jelly. Essentially nothing is known about this fauna species, and we only have the concept art created by Pat Presley to base our assumptions on. It has been suggested that the king jelly will act as a hazard, perhaps acting in a similar way to the drooping stingers of Subnautica. It looks like, if implemented, they will exist in large groups, potentially acting as some sort of underwater minefield for you to navigate, something that would be very difficult in a vehicle such as the sea truck. It's also been said by some that the thing in the centre of the jelly is a single massive eye, but I don't even want to imagine how that would look in game. Next up we have the Kite-winged Skyray. Judging by the name, this creature would somehow be related to the original Skyray, but from the concept art it would appear that the Kite-wing would have far more complex intelligence than their relatives. Alex shows a size comparison of the Kite-wing to a human, showing that they would be relatively large for an aerial creature, also suggesting that they would collect prey from the surface and carry it back to their nests. I think this would be an ideal predator for the baby penguins, but I'm not saying I'd like that to happen. There's currently no scheduled time for this to be implemented, so I wouldn't be surprised if this unfortunately never made it into the game. The final potentially upcoming aerial creature is the dragonfly. This species has been rumoured for implementation for years. Since first appearing in the early access trailer for the original Subnautica, it has never been implemented into a game. With a huge wingspan, the dragonfly would likely be able to glide for extremely long periods of time, like the albatross here on Earth. Early screenshots from the Subnautica trailer show the difference in size between the dragonfly and the Skyray, which is quite big. Personally, I'd love to see some variation in the skies of below zero, so something like this or the Kitewing would be a welcomed addition. Finally, the last creature which is potentially coming to below zero is known as the Cryptosuchus, meaning hidden crocodile. This is a really cool looking creature which appears to have been inspired by Earth's crocodiles suggested by the name Suchus. Currently the bone shark serves as the Cryptosuchus' placeholder, and so it will likely be a similar size to the bone shark. It's a very spiky looking predator, not something you'd want to get into close quarters combat with. It appears to have viciously sharp webbed claws and a beak-like mouth with small pointy teeth. Basically everything about this creature is spiky. I'd love to see this in the game, and I think it would be quite likely to be implemented since the developers have discussed what it would replace. The bone shark surely cannot stay around forever. Well, that's all the creatures which are potentially upcoming to be implemented in Subnautica Below Zero. I'd love to know which of these you'd like to see in the game the most, and also which ones you dislike the most and wouldn't like to see in the game. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like and maybe consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Also, again, I'd recommend you join my Discord server, which is linked in the description. I do multiple giveaways every month. You can interact with me and other members of the community. It's a really nice place. But that's it really, so thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ta-ra, my friends.